Hello and welcome to your 28 Storms Tropical Weather Update for Sunday, July 3rd. The tropics continue to be calm. The National Hurricane Center is not highlighting any areas in the Atlantic or the Eastern Pacific today. And the surface chart is also pretty bland. We see an area of high pressure dominating much of the Gulf of Mexico. If anything, we're still monitoring that very weak tropical wave located over the central Caribbean Sea with a weak surface trough extending into the southwest Atlantic and lower Bahamas. And we also have a tropical wave not doing much of anything to the west of the Cape Verde Islands. Now in the eastern Pacific, we still have an active monsoon trough, but nothing is very organized down there at this time. We can see on the latest satellite imagery that there simply isn't a whole lot going on. If anything stands out the most, it's that tropical convection located in and around Hispaniola. And once again, that's that tropical wave and surface trough extending into the Atlantic, where it's interacting with a lot of upper level wind shear, as we see that upper level trough is elongated and dangling from northeast to southwest from near Bermuda all the way into the Florida Peninsula and the Gulf of Mexico. And as long as that trough-like feature remains in place, the upper-level conditions out ahead of that is going to remain unfavorable for any type of tropical development. So we're not expecting anything anytime soon over the western Atlantic or Caribbean Sea. Out in the eastern Pacific, the National Hurricane Center highlighted the remnants of Tropical Storm Arlene as it began to enter the eastern half of the Pacific Ocean. And you can actually begin to make out the remnant low-level to mid-level circulation around here. But as you can see, it's completely void of any convection as it's moved into an area of significant dry air and cooler sea surface temperatures. The latest enhanced infrared for areas to the south of Mexico shows that the monsoon trough remains active, but nothing is organizing at this time. And that leads me to believe that some of the more conservative model guidance for the next 5 to 7 days may verify, compared to some of the more aggressive models like the Canadian that would like to develop a tropical cyclone in this general vicinity as soon as within the next 72 hours. Based on this current look, I really do not foresee that happening, especially in that quick of a time frame. Here is the latest 12Z Canadian CMC forecast. And as we can see, compared to previous runs, this model is no longer significantly developing the surface trough located in the southwest Atlantic. It does begin to develop a more concentrated area of weak low pressure just to the east of West Palm Beach within the next 66 to 72 hours, but it's really backed off from its solution of developing a tropical storm just to the east of Florida. And as you can see, it begins to continue lifting northward until it becomes entrained into a much larger non-tropical trough of low pressure here along the eastern seaboard, whereas much of the remainder of the Gulf of Mexico, Caribbean, and deep tropical Atlantic continue to be quiet. Also, if I rewind this just a little bit, you begin to see that as early as within the next 72 hours, the model is trying to develop a weak tropical cyclone to the south of Mexico, and I'm a bit reluctant to believe in something occurring that quickly, but we'll also take a look at some other model guidance. Here is just another look at the Canadian, and it begins to take our West Atlantic system a bit toward the north before that front comes through and totally absorbs everything. And in the meantime, we have a developing storm just to the south of Mexico, if you were to believe this model solution. The Canadian is still more aggressive than any other model altogether for the upcoming week. As we can see, the GFS is not that enthused about developing any particular tropical cyclones. It does lower the surface pressures a bit over to the south of Mexico, but nothing worthy of considering it a tropical cyclone, and it doesn't really develop much in the way of an organized low pressure area off the east coast. We can see using the shear forecast that the GFS assumes that the unfavorable mid to upper level trough will remain persistent over much of the West Atlantic, Florida Peninsula, and Gulf of Mexico, which will set the stage for unfavorable conditions across much of the southwest Atlantic, as we see by these red colors that remain persistent throughout the forecast period. Finally, the 12Z European also confirms that we will more than likely be dealing with a quiet period in the tropics lasting for at least an additional week in the Atlantic Basin. This is the day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. As we can see, still nothing within the first 5 days of the forecast, not even really any hint of a broad area of low pressure here near the Bahamas. And if anything, if I go ahead and rewind this just a little bit, you see that the model did develop a very weak area of low pressure within the next 72 to 96 hours, much like the Canadian, but it's much more conservative. This isn't really quite enough to be considered a tropical cyclone on the model. It's more than likely just a disorganized area of low pressure that may bear watching beginning within about 3 days. But again, I don't expect anything too imminent down here in the eastern Pacific, so we're looking good this weekend. So that is your tropical weather update for this Sunday. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, including the Monday 4th of July holiday. I don't expect anything imminent over the next 48 hours, but we'll still go ahead and post a very quick video tomorrow afternoon just to keep you guys informed if you're interested in checking out what's going on. And that's about it for now, so check back again for more updates. Thank you for stopping by.